Welcome back, dear students. So, continuing with our random access technique, if you all remember, we had first discussed technique number 1 under random access, and that is Aloha. Technique number 2 that we had discussed was carrier sense multiple access. Now, the third technique, as you can see on the screen, it's an extension of CSMA and it is called as carrier sense multiple access with collision detection. So how does this technique work? Point number 1, this particular technique is typically used in a network that follows a bus topology. Now, if you remember, a bus topology is a type of a topology where n number of devices or nodes, they are connected to each other through a common communication channel or a wire, which is known as the bus cable. So this is the first thing that this particular technique requires, that this technique will only be applicable for a network that is typically following the bus topology. How does this particular technique work? So let's suppose that there is a station that wants to transmit its frame. So what will that source station do? It will assemble the frame or packet comprising of the data, the destination address for whom the packet is intended, and any other control information that can help to effectively deliver the frame to the intended receiver. Now, since this technique is an extension of CSMA, in CSMA, what every station is actually doing is that it is continuously listening to the media, in this case, the bus cable, to determine if the cable is currently in use or not. Okay. If the station has figured out by listening that the bus is free, then it will take the opportunity to transmit its packet. Or it will keep on sensing till it feels that the bus is now become free to transmit. So this process where it is continuously listening to the cable is what we call as carrier sensing. During transmission, the source station will continuously listen to the cable. Now let's say that the station has already transmitted its data, but parallelly it will also keep on listening to the cable in order to detect if any other station has also initiated a transmission or not. If it so happens that when one station has transmitted its data, another station has also initiated its transmission, then definitely collision is likely to happen. Now, how does this technique work? This technique comes into action especially when collision is detected. So once the device or a station has realized that collision has occurred, in order to make all the stations aware about this collision, the source station is going to transmit a random bit pattern, which is known as a jam sequence. So this is the actual crux of the technique, that is CSMA Cd, wherein a device that has realized that a collision has occurred will immediately intimate all the other devices by sending a random bit sequence, which is called as a jamming signal or a jam sequence. When the stations that have been involved in this collision receive the jam sequence, they will automatically back off for a random period of time before they can retry for transmission. So this technique especially works when a scenario of collision occurs. Then what solution needs to be taken? The solution that is taken is intimating the stations to hold on to their transmission and retry after some time. Why? Because a collision has already occurred. This can be a figure that you can possibly use to show the entire process. So let us assume that there are 4 stations, A, B, C, D. And all of them are connected to each other through a common bus cable. So let us say that when A has started its transmission, parallelly, station B has also started with its transmission. which means at some point of time in the bus cable, their datas, A and D's data are definitely going to collide. When A transmits its frame, it's parallelly also sensing the media. So when it realizes that its frame has collided with that of the frame of station D, it will immediately send a jamming pattern or a jamming signal to D and also to the other stations, indicating them to back off from their transmission and retry again later. Now, the question is, how will a station come to know that there has been a collision? So, a standard, what do I say? A standard value that has been taken into consideration, that is the worst case scenario, is equivalent to twice the end to end propagation delay, which means supposing you are sending a frame and it takes around 5 seconds to reach an intended receiver. So you wait for 10 seconds, and if you haven't received any kind of an acknowledgement from the other end, that could be an indication that somewhere a collision may have occurred. So this technique is called as CSMA CD, wherein the device is simply sensing the media, and at the same time, if it has realized that a collision has occurred, it will transmit out a jamming signal to all the other devices, including the other device that was involved in the collision, telling those devices to back off for some time and repeat the process of sending data after some time.